5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's time to count down reality TV's most talked about moments with Amanda Bella. Hey everybody, it's Amanda Bella and welcome back to Bella Talks TV. It is a really insane week in reality TV. We have a lot to discuss, and I want to just start this week's episode with a little bit of a disclaimer because there's a lot of hot button trigger warning aspects of this week's episode just based on what's actually going on in these shows. So trigger warning where you might talk about addiction. We might be talking about some racist comments that have been made online. We might be talking about things that might come off anti-feminist to some. So I just want to warn everybody, like, it's not that serious. This is Bravo and beyond, and we just need to all take a Xanax, calm down, and let's try to discuss these things without everybody attacking each other and coming at each other personally, because I am not a racist. I am not a bigot. I support all LGBTQ. I support all races. I know that I'm a white girl, but just because I'm white doesn't mean I'm a Karen. So I think that there's also some other aspects of that go on in these shows and in real life. And I just want to start with saying that because there's going to be all types of things discussed in this week's episode. It's been kind of a dark and crazy week on TV, so let's get into it, but I just really wanted to start with that first. So please don't try me. Don't try to come at me. I'm really just trying to discuss these things in a delicate way because they are relevant and they are what's really going on in our TVs. So thank you all again for joining me. If you're watching me on YouTube or watching the video version of this, I have finally learned. Now, guys, remember, this is a self-produced show, so I don't always have the best equipment. I don't always do the best editing. I don't have maybe the best visually appealing show as opposed to some other podcasters, but I'm here in my living room just doing my own thing here. So I've actually been able to use my iPad to get the camera connected to the program that I use on my Mac to make this show possible. So if you're watching, I think the video should look a lot clearer and more easy to watch this week. So definitely check me out on YouTube if you haven't yet. If you're here on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, what up? Please leave me a review and rate me 5 stars. I'm going to be working really hard on this podcast for the time to come. So this is just the beginning again. And I appreciate each and every one of the listens, downloads, reviews that I get. They all mean every single bit. They mean so much to me. Like anytime I get even one extra person to come join this party that I like to call Bella Talks TV, it just really means a lot. So thank you all for being here again, and let's get into it. So I want to start this week, of course, with one of my favorite segments that I've been doing, which is the shit that no one is talking about. So no one is talking about this new season of Jersey Shore. I did a little catch up yesterday and I have some thoughts. So it's been a really good season so far. I think there's only been 4 episodes that have been released, and Jersey Shore to me is the epitome of reality TV. Like, we have to put some respect on the Jersey Shore name because they really changed the game when it came to the idea of reality TV. Because again, like 20 years ago, it was really just The Real World, and I think, Survivor, some of these like really beginning OG shows. And Jersey Shore came along and really gave us a whole new wave of reality TV. And I'm obsessed with these people. I've always been really into just the idea. It's actually kind of crazy that I end up living on the East Coast because, as you guys know, like, I'm a Michigan, Chicago girly. Like, it's crazy how connected I felt to the Jersey Shore. I've now been down to the Jersey Shore, and I didn't even know these places existed really until I saw them on TV and learned about them. So the fact that I've been able to really kind of engulf myself in some of the culture and go and experience it for myself, you can actually rent the Jersey Shore house on, I think, Vrbo or Airbnb, and you can stay there. And I almost did that for my bachelorette party. That's how much I am a Jersey Shore fan. So I'm really enjoying this new season so far. It kicks off with us getting into Angelina and her recent decision to go out and find her birth father. So as we all know, Angelina's been a really polarizing character on Jersey Shore. She has been not the most liked. She's very vocal and really has no filter and just says whatever comes to her mind. And I think a lot of people have, pegged her as somebody who really has like daddy issues. So I think, she's been engaged 4 times and she's had 1 failed marriage. And it's easy to try to pinpoint like why she is the way that she is, but it is a plethora of issues, I'm sure, and it's not just one thing. So I don't dislike Angelina in any way. I'm actually like a fan, weirdly almost like an Angelina stan. Like she, even though she's not perfect, which again, none of these reality TV characters are supposed to be perfect. They're supposed to be real, authentic. If they're problematic at times, it's really about them being able to take accountability for that. It's not like nobody's ever going to make a mistake and say something bad. It's about them being able to own up to it and hopefully be able to see what they did wrong that offended people. Now, again, I'm not sure she's even quite that, where she's actually been able to do that yet. But I think the producers stepping in this season and getting Angelina to explore this family genealogy a little bit more and find her birth father. I mean, first of all, the producers of Jersey Shore, like, I don't know that they've never won an Emmy. I'm sure, I don't know. I'd have to really look into this. They've never been nominated, I don't think. Maybe like just People's Choice Awards and stuff. But the producers over there deserve a Purple Heart. Like, they have kept this show going for 15 years now. So they haven't even been in the Jersey Shore house, I think, for like 8 or something. So the fact that they've been able to extend this and keep the show going by basing the show on now what's going on in their real lives, it's really smart. It's a really good play from MTV. And the producers were really smart to include some of these deeper storylines, because it's like we've seen the antics. Like, we've gotten over some of these things, and they're all married and have kids and have moved on with their lives and stuff. So it's not like they are just partying at the shore anymore. So they had to find new storylines to keep the show going, to make sure that we continue to be invested in these people's lives. Now, in this new season, again, spoiler alert, but you guys got to go watch. In the first episode, Angelina goes on the mission to find her birth dad. And they find him. And I thought this was going to be something that was stretched out like all season. No, in one episode, they locate her birth dad. They find him. They get him on camera. They have them meet. This all happened within 10 minutes. I was like, whoa, we're already meeting him. And even Angelina's like, wait, what? He's like coming here now? She was not expecting it to escalate so quickly. But it's an amazing scene. The fact that he comes in and right away he's like, I didn't know that you existed. Like, I am so disappointed that we've missed out on all this time that we've had to be able to create memories together. But let's start now, and let's put a lot of effort into cultivating a relationship. It's basically the dream scenario when you try to find your birth parents. Like, he's so open to it. He accepts her with open arms. He's excited. He's like happy to have another daughter. It really is a heartwarming, I was sobbing, really heartwarming scene. But of course, there's always got to be a twist. So in the second episode, Angelina starts to reveal that he has been basically asking her for money for all kinds of things, from surgeries that he needs to his rent being paid to, just other items. He said that or court dates coming up that he needed help with. Like, he basically brings her in and just has her start paying for things. And it is the most heartbreaking thing ever. It's really sad to see her be so excited to find her dad and have him basically immediately start trying to use her. And it just shows you the downfalls of being on reality TV. It's a very sobering moment, because you're so elated one minute, and to see it turn so quickly, it just shows you that it's really important for you to be careful of who you're having in your life and the different effects that the people in your life are going to have on you when you're filming shows like this, because it's a really sad story. I hated seeing that. Now, I really want to also get into a second thing that I loved about the Jersey Shore new season is that they got their own holiday. Now, it's really funny because at first they think it's a national holiday, like banks are going to be closed. And they're all like, wait, does Congress know? Like, does Joe Biden know? And they're like, no. It's just a New Jersey holiday. So in the state of New Jersey, I believe, they decide that I think September 22nd is the day that they declared Jersey Day. And it's so cool, like seeing them with all of their fans and the people that came out in Jersey to support them. They had basically like a huge press conference, like almost / parade, and everybody was there cheering them on. And I just loved seeing this moment. There was that one time they talk a lot about how Chris Christie was the governor when Jersey Shore first started. And basically not only the state of New Jersey, but all Italian Americans were like mad at Jersey Shore. They did not want them on their screen. They thought it was trash and a bad representation. And to see how far they've came and how they've won over the popularity of the nation, it's just really cool. So the whole scene, the whole beginning of the new season is really good. Sam has been back, and they're going to have Ronnie joining soon. So it's going to be the full cast for the rest of the season. And I'll definitely be tuning in. I was skeptical. A lot of these shows have kind of gotten gimmicky over the years with the trips and the games and the, Dina's t-shirts. It's like, okay, enough. But this new season is promising. So no one's talking about it. I'm talking about it so that you guys go check it out and continue to watch with me. So let's get into my LOL and OMG of the week. So I skipped these last week because it's been dark. It's been a little dark out there. It hasn't been so LOL-y. But I decided to take a little bit of break from Bravo this week. Understandably. And I decided to pop over to Netflix, pop over to Lifetime, mix up my reality TV this weekend, and I watched the new season of Love on the Spectrum. So if you guys haven't watched that yet, it is a show about adults that are on the autism spectrum, and it's just a really close to home show for me. I have a family member. I don't want to out anybody, but I do have a family member that's on the spectrum, and his journey is beautiful, and he's one of the most amazing people that I know. So it's just one of those shows that you have a personal connection to because of what's going on in your own life, which is the point of reality TV. It's to be able to connect with people, relate with people, see people that are like you on TV. Because you guys remember before reality TV, when things are scripted, everything's just these glamorous TV stars. Nobody really looks like you. These people all come from different lives that aren't as real as our lives. So reality TV really broke that barrier between us and TV stars. It made everything, it conflated the two, which was great. It made it all kind of the same thing. So I really appreciate being able to see people like me, people that I know, that I like on TV. And Love on the Spectrum is an amazing show. So again, these are spoiler alerts. I do recommend that if you don't want to give any spoilers to fast forward, but I want to talk about the last episode of the season. So it's amazing. There's a lot of great people on the show. 3 of them I'm going to talk about specifically. One of them is Connor. So Connor is a really amazing case. He had never been on a date before in his life. They take him to speed dating, and that's a popular thing for people on the spectrum because it's easy to date other people that are on the spectrum that are going to understand, your tics, your traits, things that make you different and not judge you. And I really support this way of dating that they show on the show. So Connor goes to a speed dating event and he meets Emily. At first he checks no, and it's so funny and awkward. Like when you're sitting at speed dating, they give you a little card with everybody's name and you're supposed to kind of circle yes or no. And he circles no on her, right in front of her. And it's just it's like, no, Connor, you're supposed to do that after she gets up and walks away. You're not supposed to be putting an X through their name as she's sitting right in front of you. But it's a really likable moment. And obviously he's not doing that maliciously. So he ends up regretting it later. And he ends up being like, damn, I shouldn't have X'd no on Emily. She was kind of cute. Actually, he was like, she was kind of fine. He specifically was like, I'm physically attracted to her and I kind of want to go out with her again. So he calls a speed date. She's like, great news. Emily also was interested in going on a date with you. I'll hook it up. So they go on a date, they hit it off. And one of the things that they hit it off about is their dogs. So Connor's like, oh, I have a Shih Tzu named Chewie after Chewbacca. And Emily's like, oh, I also have a Shih Tzu named Ben after Ben Kenobi from Obi-Wan Kenobi. So that's a really weird coincidence. They both have little Star Wars Shih Tzus. I'm here with my little Shih Tzu, as always. She's always right next to me. Look at this little sleeping angel. Ugh, love her. But I just loved that scene. I loved them connecting over their Shih Tzus. And then they were like, this will be perfect. Let's do a dog date. And that's where we get to my LOL of the week, because this dog date is one of the funniest moments. Just genuinely, authentically funny. Like, I was laughing out loud at the way they're reacting to the dogs being together and just the hijinks that ensue. So I won't spoil the whole scene, but that's one of my favorite moments. Definitely my LOL of the week. And I will post a clip of it over on my Instagram. So make sure you head over there to see the exact moment I'm talking about. Another really funny moment of that episode that had me laughing was at the end, Dani, one of the characters, she's really into comics, Comic-Con, animation, and she lives in LA. She's been going on a couple of dates with this guy named Adon. And Adon has never kissed anybody. He's a virgin. And Dani is really like into, she's really physically attracted to him too. Like, that's the thing about people on the spectrum. Like, they're just like us. They want to have the same human nature relationships as we do, including sex. And there's nothing wrong with that. It is something we all do. So the fact that Dani is like, okay, like, I'm really into this guy. I kind of got to get him like on my level. So she decides to bring him a cupcake, and they both have their cupcakes, and she teaches him a kissing lesson on the cupcake. It's so funny. Like, it's just one of those moments where it's like, it's not supposed to be funny, but just the way that they're going through the motions of kissing these cupcakes, like, I was laughing hysterically. It's so cute and funny and just like a really feel-good moment. So you have to go see that. And the final moment that I have to talk about from this episode is, I'm going to cry just thinking about it. So there's another couple, Abby and David. And Abby loves The Lion King. It's her favorite movie. She's really into lions. And they've been dating for 2 years. So in this season, David is like, I'm going to basically take you. Now, David's also on the spectrum. So they have adults with them that are taking him on these trips and caring for them. But they take them to Kenya to go on a real safari to find real lions. And it's just amazing. At the very end, David sets up like a really cute little date for them, like looking out onto the veranda of the whole like Kenya flatlands. And he brings Abby a glass of wine, which I also love too, that people on the spectrum drink. Like, again, it's like they're normal. Like, they want to have cocktails, they want to have sex, like they're out there living and doing things just like us. So he brings Abby a glass of wine, but his drink of choice is milk. So he's just drinking this like huge glass of like whole milk out on this date, looking over the Kenya. It's just so funny. And then they start singing, and I didn't know, like, now that I've started following Abby, I'm gonna link her in the episode description, because you guys have to follow her if you're looking for just feel good content. She likes to sing a lot of the Disney songs, and they just start singing Can You Feel the Love Tonight, and they're singing it together on their date, looking out onto Africa. It's the most heartwarming scene. I was sobbing like vocally, like I was like, like doing like the real cries. So if you're just looking for that kind of reality TV this weekend, go check out Love on the Spectrum. I hope I didn't spoil it too much for you guys. It's such a good show. Now, switching gears over to my OMG of the week, got to talk about something that is not as feel good, and that's a little bit, harder to talk about. So let's get into talking about my OMG of the week, which is the Wendy Williams documentary. So this was definitely not as heartfelt. This was really hard to watch. I binged all 4 episodes the other night. And this is a really big, again, lesson to who you keep in your circle around you when you become famous, because people in her life are taking such bad advantage of her. And clearly Wendy is dealing with some addiction and alcoholism and, substance abuse problems. She has now been officially diagnosed with early onset aphasia, which is the same thing that Bruce Willis has. And it's just a very aggressive form of dementia. And it's really scary when people have it, because they can be, they have no filter. and they can be really harsh with their words. So the way that she's speaking to the people around her is really brutal. And she clearly should not be on TV. And they really should not be putting this out there. Like, if I always try to think of things like, if this was my mother or like a family member of mine, I would be so mad. Like, they're doing her dirty. They're really doing her dirty. Like, no one needs to see this for our entertainment. Like, we have no reason to be watching this. She should just be in a facility getting healthy and getting better. But you know what? It was made and it's out there. So we have to talk about it now. But I don't think this ever should have been made. They basically started this documentary because this production crew had heard that Wendy was going to be making a comeback, and she had been off the air for a while, since 2020, when a lot of these health problems started. As you guys know, there's that famous video of her fainting while she was doing her show, and then she went on her show to talk about a lot of her problems, having to live in a sober house, etc. So she was really open about her struggles, and at that time, I think it was great that they took her off the air. They decided to basically be like, we can't put her back on the air until she has a clean bill of health. And that's when a lot of these tests were finally done to find out what was going on with her. But she is really in bad shape. So beyond her having the aphasia and the dementia that's setting in, she also has Graves' disease, which causes her eyes to really have that like bulging effect. And then she also has lymphedema, so her legs are really swollen and kind of like crusted over. I believe it's a problem with your lymphatic system not draining, so which can also be caused by alcoholism. And you know, people don't realize probably that alcohol affects a lot of your organs, your brain specifically. Like, I was scarred for life when I was in high school. They did one of those alcohol awareness seminars, and I remember they showed us videos of like what your brain looks like on alcohol, and it's all like Swiss cheesed out, and that freaked me out to the high heavens. So I've always had that vision of like, oh my God, I don't want my brain to be like rotting. So I mean, I love a cocktail, but I am a social drinker. Like, I mean, not that I would even count how many days it's been since I had a drink, but I don't remember. It's been a while, since, I don't know, like a month or something. So I really don't drink like that, but I understand people that do have these problems. You know, I would never out anybody, but I do have a family member that's been in the AA program for a few decades. And I just seen it, you know, work. And I've seen real alcoholics in my life. So it's really just sad to see one on TV and to see it being televised for all of us. Now, the biggest problem with this is that her manager and her publicist are doing her dirty. They're basically keeping her on TV to make money because, of course, they don't get paid unless she's making money, and all of her assets have been frozen because she's now in a guardianship. So they don't have access to her money. They need to be continuing to keep things going in the Wendy Williams sphere. And, you know, if there's no Wendy Williams, there's no them. So it's really scary. Now, Wendy's first husband, I believe, was her original manager. And when he cheated on her and he got another woman pregnant, that was kind of what set off this entire spiral of Wendy. People don't realize, like, cheating is trauma. Like, when you get cheated on, especially when you're a public figure, it's a level of just like humiliation and disrespect that is traumatic. And I think that she's just dealing with PTSD, and she's trying to self-medicate through the fact that, you know, she was so happy, especially to have her son finally. Like, if you guys didn't watch the original scripted Lifetime special on Wendy Williams, I really recommend that too, because it goes into a lot of her early life and how she rose to fame and the struggles that she had to start a family and just a lot of her other problems. So I recommend both of those on Lifetime. But she just really wanted a son. She really wanted a family, and she really wanted to be like that exemplar example of Black love. You can just feel it in her. Like, that's all she ever wanted. So when he cheated, you know, she not only lost her husband, but she lost her manager too. And she decided to hire a friend of hers as her manager. Now, this guy you can just tell he's a total piece of trash just from the documentary. All he cares about is himself. He cares about how he looks on camera, and he's definitely just pushing Wendy to do things so that he can continue to collect money from her. And she met him in a club. She basically almost was like, this guy was almost like my dealer. Like, you can't hire that guy, Wendy, as your manager. Like, there's just so many bad decisions that were made, and it's too late now, but I just wish that she never would have hired him. And then she has this publicist come in, and that's brutal. Her name is Sean, and she, again, is like the producers of the show are like, Sean, like, you don't see anything wrong with Wendy? You don't think there's any like health problems going on? Wendy's like, no. I think she's fine. I think she's good. This is just Wendy. Wendy's Wendy. Like, these people are delulu. Like, I couldn't handle it. I was so mad at both Sean and the manager. So it's just brutal. Wendy's niece comes in. Wendy's son is very active in trying to take care of her, but he, again, has his hands tied because he is in Florida, and they try to get Wendy to come down and live there with her. And whenever she goes down there, she seems to gain weight and get healthy and be doing better. But she is an addict. So at the end of the day, she wants to be able to be in New York and do addict things. So the whole story is so heartbreaking. I really am praying for the day that I turn on the TV, I look at my phone, and I see Wendy like sober. I want to see like some kind of statement released from her, saying that she's free and that she's been healthy and she's been able to get the right treatment to hopefully in some way return back to the public eye, because this is her passion. She, at the end of the documentary, is like, I don't even really want the money. Like, of course, yes, she wants the money. She really just wants to be famous. Like, she wants to be connecting with everybody, talking to everybody, having her fans. Like, that means everything to her. So let's try to get Wendy healthy and back on our TV screens. Okay, and now I love also just that I'm on my couch, like hanging out with you guys. My favorite part of just recording the show is just being able to chill here in my PJs with my dog. So again, thanks for being here. So let's get into what you guys were all here for, always, my top 5 countdown of the week. So again, please refer back to my disclaimer. Don't come for me about any of this stuff. I'm just repeating the news, giving my opinions. I'm not racist, and I don't hate women, and I'm not an apologist for people. So please, again, bear with me. And just remember, this is supposed to be fun. Bravo should be fun. So, okay, let's get right into my top 5. So the number 5 most talked about moment of the week is Brittany and Jax. What is going on with them? So Brittany this week has gone online to her Instagram, changed her name back to Brittany Cartwright, and she has been seen out by TMZ. Her and Jax both have been caught out on the streets talking about their relationship. So it is conflicting statements, and there's a lot of confusion about what's going on. So Brittany has stated that she has moved out, that she is taking space away from Jax. She changed her name on Instagram, and all roads seem to lead to the fact that Jax and Brittany are headed for a divorce. Now, Jax, on the other hand, has been also caught by cameras. He was caught like disgustingly sweaty leaving a gym the other day by TMZ. And he said the opposite. No, Brittany and I are living together. We're not getting divorced and whatever. So there's something going on here. They're either really taking space and not communicating in any way, and someone's telling the truth here and someone's lying. I would like to think that it's Jax, because it's so simple to be like, okay, Jax is lying. Jax is a pathological liar. But I'm confused why he would be the one saying that they're still together if they're not. So it's confusing to me to think why Brittany is claiming that they're not when he is. There's just, everything's not adding up here. There's a lot of questions. And we obviously know that The Valley is going to be premiering, and this is a show about their relationship amongst other relationships in the Valley. And I don't know, there's just something weird going on with this situation. I have to say right now it's feeling like PR. Now, I'm open to new information. I'm willing to let this situation unfold. But I did hear, my sources tell me that Brittany's actually, they have purchased this second house that they have a while ago. So when Brittany says, oh yeah, I moved out and I'm living in another house, I heard that she had this house for a while, that they both, had this other property that they use for business. And this was on Kristen Doty's podcast that Brittany said this, but it's now been taken out of the episode and removed. So because of the fact that it's not there anymore and that they removed it, that's fishy to me. Now, if that comment was still out there, that would mean that it was just kind of like a true throwaway comment that was said during an interview. But the fact that they obviously requested Kristen to go back, remove that piece of the episode, and then re-release the episode without people being able to backtrack and say, oh no, Brittany's had this house for a while. It's just weird. So I don't know. I don't believe it right now. I think it's really sad if they're, I don't know, if they're trying to use a divorce as ways to get PR for the show, but like, it's Bravo. How many divorces have we discussed and seen happen on this network? The limit does not exist. So it's not the craziest thing ever if they would be doing this just for PR. I'm just going to have to see how this unfolds, but everyone is talking about that. I'm surprised so many people are believing it. And to me, I always kind of think back to what I said last week about Kyle and Mauricio. Like, if Mauricio has been cheating for like 10, 15 years, like, why now is there a divorce happening? Like, I just don't get it. Like, Jax has been absolutely awful to Brittany. Like, do you guys not remember what happened with Faith? Like, if Brittany is going to stick with him through all of that, I don't think that like all of a sudden she would leave now. So something must have happened or nothing happened, and this is PR. Just my opinion. But that was the number 5 most talked about moment of the week. Now, getting into the number 4 most talked about moment of the week. Again, this has been like such a hot button topic. I can't believe how many people disagree with me on this, but again, I guess it's just that idea that because of who I am, the way I've been raised, it's my own bias. And I can admit that. I can admit that I'm biased. I think being biased is actually, again, part of human nature. And you just have to be able to recognize it and own it. So I'm just a little bit biased in this situation for whatever reason. But we're going to be talking about the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills here, people. So strap up. Okay. To me, the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is a perfect display of housewifery. It's Delulu. It's got levels of fame, money, attention, the fakeness that comes with Beverly Hills, the idea of optics, everybody wanting to present themselves in the best light. And it's just got these different like dynamics that go on in Beverly Hills that don't go on in the other shows. And I think it just really makes Beverly Hills special. It's truly the definition of housewives to me. So with that being said, like, I don't think it's always supposed to be perfect and shiny and politically correct. I think that it's not fair that everything everybody's going to say is going to be perfect. But I'm not a Dorit apologist. Let me just start with saying that. Like, the fact that I don't necessarily disagree with Dorit or like hate her for the comments that she made with the child bride stuff and, the things towards Garcelle, that Garcelle is claiming that make Dorit a Karen. I see it. I definitely see it. But I will die on the hill that I just don't think that she is malicious. I don't think that she is racist and purposely trying to make these comments to put these women down. Like, I just don't feel it in my heart, and that's my truth. That's what I don't care. I don't care if people think that that's wrong, but I have to just stand in my truth. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh yeah, like Dorit, like no, I just don't feel like that. I think that she's made some really stupid comments based on her own bias. And I think would totally, like, she did sit down with Garcelle this season and really tried to own it. But it's the fact that, to me, Garcelle and Crystal are fishing so hard to go after her. If they weren't trying so hard and they were just able to go after her in a way that wasn't so like thirsty, I would be more receptive to the things that they're saying. But it's just not coming off that way. Like, it's really coming off to me desperate that it looks like Garcelle's had a few seasons. She's given us all she's got. She's talked about her cheating scandal ad nauseum. We know, we talked about it every season, every episode. Like, okay, you need a new storyline, Garcelle. We don't really like the stuff about your kids. Like, every single other content creator and stuff that I listen to is like, okay, we've had enough. Like, no one's really into the kid stuff. No one wants to hear about the cheating anymore. And, you know, you're a very acclaimed Hollywood actress. You're doing great things there. These projects that you do, it's amazing. She's been winning awards. Like, I'm not discounting like her as a person or a staple in Beverly Hills. It's just like, enough. Like, she doesn't like the women and she doesn't have genuine relationships with them. So it just feels like she's constantly trying to like pick at somebody. And first it was her coming after Sutton, and now it's her coming after Dorit. It's like, okay, we get it. Like, we get it. So I don't know. I'm over it. I'm over Garcelle. And that doesn't make me a racist. Like, you guys, we can dislike people of color just because we dislike them. It doesn't make you racist. So there's a lot of reasons why I don't like Garcelle. And one of them is because she just won't give up. Like, even when Dorit sits there and is like, do you not like me? Like, do you not want to have a friendship with me? Garcelle still can't just be like, no, I don't like you. Like, let's just not try. She's like, oh, I don't know. It's like, all right, Garcelle, fine. It's like, because she wants to drag it out. She's trying to get another season out of this. Instead of just nipping it in the bud, or not even in the bud anymore because it's been so long, instead of trying to actually have a resolution and do the housewives arc of, we're fighting, we're getting through it, we're tying a bow on it, and we're moving on. She just wants to continue it over and over and talk about the same things, and we've all had enough. So we know there's Karens out there. I deal with them every day. We got to talk about something else because it's getting old. So that just brings me over to Crystal. Now, again, I don't not like Crystal because she's Asian. Like, that's ridiculous. So I don't want to hear it. I don't like Crystal because she, to me, is insufferable. Every episode, all she does is complain. She's always picking fights with people. I don't think that she is naturally funny or have really a lot of redeeming qualities that, like, I was trying to think, like, would I want to hang out with this person in real life? And I wouldn't. I don't like her. I love her husband. Like, I love Rob. Rob is the shit to me. I would hang out with him any day. But Crystal, to me, is so annoying. And I just always have these little nuggets in the back of my head. Like, the 14 friends that were like, okay, we're done with you. Like, if her whole friend group abandoned her when she became a real housewife, like, that must have been like insufferably talking about it. Like, I can imagine, you know, it sounds like when she met Anna Marie, she was like, I'm a housewife. Like, she said that. I really believe that she said that. I believe that she does feel proud to be a housewife. And I think that she really, really, really cares about being on the show. So again, with her, if she's not going to talk about her business, which I believe the cocoa water, like, great, good job. We're proud of you. But because of the Bethany clause, she can't really talk about her business because she probably doesn't want Bravo to take any money of that. So we're not talking about her business. There's not really, doesn't have to be problems in her relationship, but they don't really show us like too much with Rob. And I assume that's because he's probably a Mauricio type. This man's probably busy as hell. Remember, this is the man that directed The Lion King and The Brave Little Toaster and many other things. So I think that she's just really trying to make problems with these women. Now, let's go back to, again, Crystal's beginning on the show. What was her number one storyline? Calling Sutton a racist. Sutton making dark comments. Sutton saying things that were biased, whatever. That was like her number one thing. Then I think you guys kind of forgot, because I don't see anybody ever talking about this. She also came for Kyle about the same thing. Go back and watch the season 12 reunion. Crystal and everybody is coming for Kyle for also making these comments. Remember, Kyle accused Garcelle of not paying the charity, and Garcelle had to sit her down and be like, yo, you're being a Karen. It's like, okay, we get it. Like, these women are Karens. When are we going to realize that the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is like filled with Karens? It should be called the Real Karens of Beverly Hills. That's like the point, you guys. We have to have these conversations, but we have to move on. We can't make every season. These women are out of touch. These are like some of the richest women in the nation. Like, oh, it makes me exhausted just thinking about it. I understand it's a very important part of society. We have to have these conversations, but we have to move on. I'm praying that we do not spend season 14 of The Real Houses of Beverly Hills talking more about how the women are Karens. It's enough. It's enough. So, and also I just want to talk about the fact that Crystal calls everybody a bitch. I made a little video on my Instagram too, and that's just 5 examples of her saying the word bitch. She loves calling everybody a bitch. She'll be like using it as a derogatory term. She'll be using it to insult people. She uses it in her Instagram captions. She uses it to describe places, people. She has a cocktail that she made with her coconut water called Pucker Up Bitch. It's just like her brand is bitch. So I feel like it's just too much for me. She's just doing too much, and it's a lot of the stuff that I don't like. So I don't like Crystal. I can say that. And I'm not here to apologize for Dorit either. I think that they're both wrong. I think everyone's wrong. And I don't really like any of the women in real life. I don't think I would have anything in common with any of them. And that's kind of why we watch these shows, right? Just to see different types of people and to learn about these different dynamics and like microcosms of our nation. So thanks for bearing with that. That was, just my honest truth. And I'm sorry if anybody's offended. Like if you're listening and you're like totally disgusted by me, I don't know. I guess this isn't the podcast for you, but I appreciate you guys just giving me the platform to vent that out. And hopefully, like I said, we can all start to move on, even though we still have a whole portion of this next reunion. So I don't know. We got to get through 2 more episodes still. So that was my number 4 most talked about moment of the week, the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion. And unfortunately, it's not really going to get any lighter because we're moving right into my number 3 most talked about moment, which is Vanderpump Rules. So there's a lot going on there, and I kind of just sucked everything about Vanderpump Rules into one idea. And I kind of just want to talk about Brock and Sheena a little bit here. So there's been a couple different things in the news about them circulating, and one is the most recent purchase of a home in Sherman Oaks. Sheena just bought a house. And the interesting thing about Sheena buying this house, it's in the Valley. And there's a lot of rumors that they think this might be the end of Vanderpump Rules. Like, where do we go after this season? The show is going to be hard. So a lot of these people, like Sheena and Lala, are also buying houses in the Valley. And I think that their plan is to hopefully just get like sucked into the Valley and have that kind of still be the next version of Vanderpump Rules that's on TV. Tom Schwartz was on Amanda Hirsch's Not Skinny But Not Fat podcast this past week. And he confirmed that before Scandival, the Valley was the plan. Bravo was going to just spin everybody off. Vanderpump Rules is going to be over. And that was the plan. But then Scandival happened and they decided to squeeze out this last season. So I kind of think that that's maybe still the direction that Bravo's going to go in. They're probably going to cancel Vanderpump Rules or maybe just kind of let it go out on, I guess, a high note and move over into the Valley. I'm excited for that. I think we've all had enough Vanderpump Rules. It's my favorite show on Bravo. I'm going to be sad to see it go, but don't you want things to kind of go out on a high instead of, having to end back on season 10 when it was really bad and everybody was calling for it to get canceled? So I'm actually kind of happy to hear that this might be a possible potential plan for Bravo. Now, getting back to the house about Brock and Sheena. So they buy this house together jointly. But then after they have the sale of the home, Sheena petitions to be the sole owner on the deed. Now, they've had some different people weigh in on this, legal experts, and basically there's 2 reasons for this, they said. There's either a divorce coming or a bankruptcy. That's the only reason why somebody would want to be the sole owner. So it sounds like Brock, I don't know, it's going to be definitely one of the 2. They're showing us a lot in the editing with the problems going on with Brock and Sheena. And another thing that I posted on my Instagram was about Sheena's mom, Erica. Like, don't you guys feel like she's a little sus? I specifically posted the scene when Brock proposes to Sheena and her mom is like creeping, like looking out the window, pulling back the window shades, like watching them. And she's like shaking her head in basically what I would like to say, like disbelief / disgust at the fact that Brock was proposing. Just seems like Erica's never really been a fan of Brock. So, I mean, has anybody really been a fan of Brock? I also, like, side note, I hate that he wears those little, like, Speedos. It grosses me out. So, this is me. Some people probably love it. But I think it sounds like, to me, Brock is going to probably file for some kind of bankruptcy. I think that he has had a lot of problems starting to have his own career here after he was a rugby player. You know, in 2020, it sounds like a lot of the American rugby players basically got like laid off, and I don't think like the league ever came back. And if you guys watch Southern Hospitality, you'll know about O'Sheen. O'Sheen was also one of Brock's friends that played rugby. If you guys remember that episode where Brock and O'Sheen are at that party at Tom and Ariana's, and O'Sheen grabs Charlie and they're like all disgusted by him. Yeah, that was O'Sheen. And it's just easy to see that Brock has like tried to use Sheena, I think, to kind of stay, you know, build a life for himself. Because of the timing of everything. So I don't know. I don't like Brock. Remember, he tried to have that app and he was asking everybody to like do free advertisements and like post and do videos and stuff for him. Like, he just seems kind of like a mooch, right? Like, that's the word. Like, he's mooching off of everybody, trying to just get free stuff from him all the time. And Sheena is a perfect victim for a mooch. Like, she is a perfect target. If Brock is really this type of guy and he met Sheena, that he probably saw, yep, gonna get a green card. Yep, this girl's gonna finance my whole life. Kind of like Angelina's dad when he met her and was like, ooh, I just see dollar signs. Like, I'm coming into this lady's life. She's established, already been on TV for 10 years. Like, we're doing the damn thing. It's not good. I'm not going to talk about Summer Moon. I actually got into some fights in the comment section of Instagram about Summer Moon, and I've learned not to talk about the children anymore, but that's a whole other opinion that I have. And it's just, I don't know. I don't like Brock. I really don't like the fact that his children in Australia aren't in his life, and there's just a lot going on there. So we'll see if this whole thing comes to fruition with the Valley and if they become part of it. I don't know if Brock and Sheena are going to get a divorce, even though they're kind of making it seem like they're having problems this season. Unclear. We'll see what happens. You'll have to watch what happens live. But that has been a big part of social media this week, and just seeing what's been going on with Brock and Sheena. Now, talking about the sale of the house, we've got to also talk about the issue with Ariana and Tom getting rid of their house. So it looks like Tom is now suing Ariana for $90,000 that apparently was a loan that he gave her through the house, and I guess now he's trying to sue her for that. Seems like they're going to have a really hard time getting out of this house. I can't believe that they're still there together. Like, I personally never could have been able to do it, but it's kind of crazy how many lawsuits are going on in the Bravoverse right now. It's actually kind of scary and, like I said, really dark. I'm not really liking this Bravo era that we're in, but we got to talk about it. And that definitely brings us to the next lawsuit, which is Rachel versus Tom and Ariana in the case of her revenge porn. So as a female, can admit that I've sent pictures and stuff of myself to people, and it's definitely like a fear that you always have in the back of your head. Like, what if this person, like, you know, I have exes now that are out in the universe that have pictures of me, and that's like a disgusting thought. You know, I was young and I probably should have never done that, but thank God this law exists where they can never release these things or distribute them or share them with anybody, or, you know, you can sue them. So that's been put into protection for a really good reason. And because it's something human that all girls do, I don't want to say all girls, but, you know, a lot of people do. It's really important to recognize that these laws are put in place to protect us and to make sure that we can, you know, do these normal things, like want to be able to send a sexy photo to someone you're dating or whatever, with consent. Now, the problem with this case is that there was no consent. Rachel, unfortunately, did FaceTime Tom, did some scandalous things. He chose to record on his end. And then the night that everything broke, Scandal broke, which was exactly, 1 year ago, that we were all on our mics talking about this, but the night that Scandal broke, which was exactly 1 year ago, Ariana found Tom's phone. She found the said video of Rachel, and that's what started this whole thing. So it is crazy to think it's been a year, but I actually think Rachel has a case here, and I actually think I would sue the shit out of anybody that ever did that to me. So even though I'm Team Ariana for life, I don't think that this was right, and I know that even in the moment when she was really upset, I think it's one thing to tell people that that's what she found, but if she was indeed showing people this video and in any way sending it to people, distributing it, taking her own copies of it, like that is fucked up and she shouldn't have done that. So stuck between a rock and a hard place on this one, but I definitely don't think that that was cool. So it's disappointing to see that this is where we're at, but I hope that there can be some resolution and some healing here in this situation, and hopefully eventually we can all move on from Scandal. So number 3 most talked about moment of the week, VPR, lawsuits, drama, beyond. Number 2, we got to talk about too. I'm going to keep this short because this is sad too, and I just want to put my support out there. So the number 2 most talked about lawsuit moment of the week is now Leah McSweeney coming out and putting her lawsuit out against Andy, claiming that he offers cocaine to people, especially housewives, and gives them favorable edits, etc., if they do use with him. And just the idea that he acts a certain way and basically does these things. It's one thing to do them in the privacy of your own home, but it is another thing to be having them in the workplace and be offering them to the talent. So again, I don't really know what I think is true. Like, I guess 2 things can be true at the same time. Like, do I believe Andy recreationally uses drugs? Sure, I do. I think he might have even admitted that he has. So I do believe that. Do I think that he's done these drugs with some housewives? I potentially do think that is true. But do I ever think that Andy coerced somebody, gave somebody special treatment? No, I don't believe it. I don't think that Andy is this guy that Leah is painting him out to be in this lawsuit. I think that you're naturally going to like people a little bit more that you have experiences with, especially like you have these coworkers that you work with, and you don't hang out with all of them outside of work, but there's usually a few that you are really good friends with, and you actually take your relationship out of the office. That is normal. So I think Andy being in the same age group, being around these women for the last 20 years, I do think that the lines have probably been blurred outside of the work where things have happened. If it's consensual and these housewives wanted to do these things with him and they were just doing that for fun, like on their own time, like that's actually just their business. The fact that Leah's trying to claim that he, forces it or whatever in the workplace, like that's just a really hard pill to swallow. I think we'll all be really disappointed if more things start to come out, like anything else disturbing, because it's Daddy Andy, you guys. Like we can't bite, again, the hand that feeds us. Like, this man has given us everything. I want to make sure that we continue to support him. So many housewives have came out in support of him, making posts, and every time I see a new housewife come up, I'm like, yes, please support Andy. Like, our king's got to feel down right now. He's got to feel down. He's got to feel probably even ashamed of some of the things that he's done. Whether or not allegedly these things are even true or whatever, he probably feels really bad that he's ever done these things now, and he probably has his own regrets. So I'm really praying that in a court of law that this lawsuit is dismissed. No filter with Zach. Oh, I love him. He's the best. I met him at BravoCon, you guys, and we had the most fun. Like, I had the most fun with him. He is amazing. Make sure you're following him. But he posted a video of Leah on the Thailand trip of her being like, yeah, I'm bored, girls. Like, why don't you guys all take some shots and entertain me? Like, this is, again, a classic case of projection. She was the one that actually was trying to coerce the women to use alcohol to be more interesting. She was the one that was telling these girls to do this stuff. Now, this is literally exhibit A. Like, I think if you were to play that video in front of the judge, she would just be like, okay, dismissed. So hopefully this video gets presented to him or her, whoever the judge is, and they can just get rid of this and get, clear Andy's name. We need Andy to get back to making Bravo the beautiful place that it can be. We support Andy in this house. Which again, I can't believe, I'd have to say, I can think of 3 accounts right now that I've seen bashing Andy. Fuck off. Leave Andy alone. God, I can't believe that people that are making money off of him are talking shit about him. It's okay, if you don't like Andy, then you shouldn't have a Bravo account. And you shouldn't be out there making money off of him. And okay, so the darkness is not over, you guys. Unfortunately, we still have one more topic to discuss, and this has been the craziest one yet. So the number one most talked about moment of the week, I'm drum roll, is Carl and Lindsay. So, okay, I tried to take the honest route with this one before, and I was okay, I'm going to just be myself, tell people how I feel, put my opinion out there, and I literally got eaten alive. So I was shocked to see how many people really think Carl's wrong in this situation, but I'm not going to speak on that. I'm just going to deliver what happened and I guess let everybody, continue to make their own opinions, and I'll sprinkle in a little bit of mine there too. But again, please don't come for me because I can only just say things. Bias is created based on your own personal experiences. And again, because I have dealt with people that are in the program, people that have gotten sober that are close to me, and I've also dealt with psychos on drugs. So I just feel I have my own opinions about this whole situation. So where do we even start? Let's just start from the beginning of the night. Everybody's getting ready in the summer house to go out. Now, Lindsay comes in hot. Remember, she wasn't really in the first episode because they were in DC on the lawn. And again, it's important to note that they weren't in the White House because that's just not what was going on. They were on the lawn with 5 million other people. And they go to this 4th of July party. They're not in the Hamptons. Everybody else goes to the summer house for the first weekend and begins to bond right away. And they're all having a lot of fun. And they're kind of thinking why do we even need Carl and Lindsay? It's not great. They're basically thinking okay, we don't need them. But of course, it wouldn't be a summer house if there wasn't drama. So we need Lindsay to come in and do this. So I realize that she is necessary to the show, but I can like her as a character and not like her as a person. And I think that that's where reality TV specifically gets tricky, because you can be okay, I like this person for the show. I like the dynamic that it brings. I like this, but I don't really like them as a person outside of the show. There's 2 different things going on here. So I appreciate what Lindsay does for the show. Doesn't mean I want to hang out with her, but so Lindsay comes in hot. She wasn't there the first weekend. She's already pissed that she didn't get to choose her room. They get the hot room. She's coming after West. They all start getting ready to go out, and it doesn't really show much in between. It just fast forwards to 1 hour later, and in comes Lindsay and Gabby back to the house by themselves. It is then later revealed that Lindsay was pretty much on one in the cab because she decided to go in the cab with the boys out, and all the girls were together, and she started getting in her head about how it was going to be portrayed. And again, I think a big problem, it's the unspoken fourth wall of the show is these people thinking about how they're going to be portrayed, and I think they start spiraling when they realize they're not going to be likable. And I think Lindsay had some kind of a sobering moment where she was shit, I've been here for 3 hours and I'm already coming off bad. I need Carl to basically help me get back on a good path and get in good with the girls and try to make this summer fun and etc. So I think that she starts having these thoughts, and when she brings them up to Carl, Carl dismisses her. So I have a lot of empathy for Carl in this moment because Lindsay's wasted. So Lindsay's wasted, Carl's sober, and then Lindsay's kind of having these gibberish thoughts about her needing some support from Carl because she's afraid that the girls are going to come for him. And Carl tries to calm her down and be no, it's going to be okay. The girls aren't going to think that. You're not going to be villainized. Like, we're just taking a cab out. It's not that deep. But unfortunately for Lindsay, like, that triggers her and sends her even into a deeper spiral where she then accuses Carl of being on drugs, because how could you not just agree with me? You must be on drugs to not agree with me. And that is problematic in its own. Like, if you think that you're so right and so perfect and that everything you say is gospel, then if anybody disagrees with you, they must be on drugs. It's just like, okay, why such a jump from like A to Z? Like, why did we have to go there? Why couldn't you just be upset with Carl for not, being supportive, period? Not being supportive because he's not sober. It's crazy. It's crazy, you guys. Like, there's no other word. She's acting like a nut. So they get out of the cab, they go into the bar, and according to Amanda, who took notes on her phone, Lindsay was just visibly upset right away. She didn't really even give the night a chance. She was really swept up in her own emotions and really started to accuse Carl of not being sober. So it leaks out from it just being with the guys seeing how she's treating him, but then now all the girls are seeing how she's treating him. So yes, the whole house then turns on her based on her own behaviors. Okay, like, not because of Carl. They turn on her because they just don't like Lindsay, and I think that that's really hard for people to understand, that she's like not likable. I don't know. What would you guys like that if somebody did that to you? Put yourself in Carl's shoes. You're going to tell me you're still going to be on Lindsay's side. I don't know. That to me is bananas, but to each their own. So she leaves with Gabby and she goes back and she's wasted, you guys. Like, there's no way that she can clearly remember the events of the evening. You can just tell that she's like on one. So she's telling Gabby, I don't think he's sober. She calls him Cocaine Carl. My jaw was on the floor. That should have been my OMG moment of the week. The fact that she called him Cocaine Carl, like, that just rolled off the tongue a little too easy. And if that's, remember, or drunken words are sober thoughts, right? So if she's saying this all when she's drunk, like, she thinks this a lot when she's sober, and the whole thing is problematic, because this is, again, they're supposed to be getting married in like 8 weeks or 12 weeks or something. So it's really alarming to everybody in the house. Now, they start doing some texting. Carl is telling her, like, I'm going to talk to you tomorrow when you're sober. Like, let's just stop. And Lindsay's like, no, I'm going to talk to you when you're sober. And it's just not a good look, you guys. The whole thing is really cringy. The next morning they wake up, and in my heart I'm thinking, like, okay, the damage has been done. She already accused him of not being sober, but she's going to wake up and she's not going to apologize or take accountability, because I know my Lindsay. She's not going to do that. But I thought at least she was going to do, like, babe, and like, I'm sorry. Like, I thought there would be at least a sweeping under the rug of it so that they could move on with the summer. But she unfortunately immediately doubles down. She stands by everything she said. And then even all the way up into the Instagram statement that she released yesterday, she still is believing in what she said about him. She still believes that Carl was not sober. So it's funny because now I don't want to give you guys like any spoilers, but it's not really that much of a spoiler if it's already out there. But they show the next, the 6 minutes of the next episode, on the Bravo previews. So again, like, fast forward here, like 2 minutes if you don't want to hear what happens. But pretty much she just totally continues to double down. And one of the producers asks her, like, but did you ever really think that Carl wasn't sober? And she says no. So she already admits that everything that she said was bullshit. But unfortunately, she can't own that. She can't tell everybody in the house that. She can't tell Carl that. She just really needs to be right. And again, this comes down to, I think, just like the optics of the show and like her wanting to look a certain way and basically write her own narrative. And it's just messy. The whole situation was really cringy to me. We're going to obviously have to continue to watch this season to see how this plays out, but it just, from everything I've seen online, and I actually have, some, I feel like mutual friends, it just doesn't seem like even currently, the way that Lindsay's talking about the show to her friends and people in her life that she's like learned anything or that she regrets anything. Now she is going to be the guest on Watch What Happens Live on Thursday. So I'm scared. I'm scared, you guys, because it's really a hard conversation to navigate. I can't really like talk about it on my Instagram because this is a safe place. This is my platform. Like if you're here for Bella Talks TV, like I get to do this, but there's something about Instagram where it really triggers people. So I'm not going to really like be talking about it much on there, but please continue to join me here. I hope that you guys agree with me. I don't know. Like if you don't, I also hope that you guys can understand that it's really good to also interact with podcasts, content creators, etc., that like don't have the same opinion as you, because it kind of reminds me of like Trump. Like if you're only watching Fox News and like getting news from there, like that's all you're going to believe. So I think it's important. I hope that you guys will still continue to listen to me, even if you disagree with me, but I understand if you don't, because this is a really personal thing for people. I don't operate that way in my Bravo life. Like I know that these people are they're not my real friends. They don't pay my bills. They don't live in my house. They don't sleep in my bed next to me. Like I just don't really care about if they like me. So I'm just saying my real, honest, authentic opinion. And that's what this is all about to me. It's just being able to vent all these crazy thoughts out that I have. You know, when you watch all these shows and you consume all of this stuff, like it's natural for you to want to have reactions and want to be able to share your opinions about it. So that's just really where I'm coming from this week, you guys. I really hope that you still enjoyed this episode, even though we had a lot of polarizing topics to talk about. And I hope that you really take what I said to heart about me being a good person. Like, you know, when Snooki gets arrested, she's like, I'm a good person. Like, I'm a good person, you guys. Like, I, at the end of the day, like, I'm not dying on a hill for any of these people. I'm not standing any of these people. I'm always open to changing my opinion when new information is received. And I hope that I'm able to change my opinions. And I constantly like to come back. You know, Dorit is a really good example. Like, I don't agree with anything that she said. I'm not going to be including her in like kind of like my list of favorites anymore. I think that she's now been like demoted because unfortunately, like she just put her foot in her mouth like too many times this season. So I removed her from the stand list. You know, you got to do what you got to do. I'm willing to change and evolve as a content creator. So thank you all again for being here. Oh, this was a crazy week. Hopefully next week we'll have a little bit like lighter, funny stuff to talk about. But I really appreciate you guys at all. I didn't even get to talk about my wedding at all. It's in 30 days. So leading up to there, again, I'm going to try to pre-record some episodes so that you guys have content from me the week of my wedding, the week of my honeymoon, etc. So I love you all. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for just, supporting me and letting my freak flag fly. And I hope that you all have a great week. I've been playing around on the days that I've been releasing these episodes, just trying to see if they change my metrics at all. I know people, like I personally love when podcasts are released towards the end of the week, because when the weekend comes, like I need a lot of content and things to do. I like to, if I'm going for a drive, going for a walk, like things on the weekend, I want to be able to have my podcast. But then some people really like to listen to them like when they're at work to help them get through their work days and stuff. So I'm basically just releasing these episodes as I make them randomly on different days, and we'll just see what happens. So sorry for the inconsistency, but again, it's just me here doing this, and love you all. Have a great week and keep in touch on Instagram. Go rate and review and have a good one. Ciao, Bellas.